Welcome everyone, Simon here from the Whales of Wall Street, Proton XPR. I haven't done a video on this for about a week or so due to the depressing nature really of my situation with my Proton wallet. For those that do not know from the last video, I got locked out of my account because I got a new phone and I believed that everything had swapped over, including all the iCloud information. But it turned out that it did not. So I can now access my Proton wallet, which has, I'm not going to say the exact words, but I'll tell you now it's a significant amount in my Proton wallet that I can look at on my screen. And I can see that it's still staking on the short term, but I cannot do anything with it. I'm literally looking at a window of monetary value that I'm sure will increase significantly in the future because Proton is a fantastic project. But yeah, I'm kind of trying my best not to look at it ever again and maybe just set up a new wallet and forget it, because for me right now, obviously, as you can imagine, looking at it's almost like I've signed up. And this is not saying XPR is a scam, obviously, but it's like when you sign up to those scam sites, and then like they show you like you've deposited money, and they show you like a fake exchange, and it shows you like all the money you've made, and it's not actually there. It's not actually real. Obviously, it is there and real. I have no idea what they're going to do with it because technically I can still access my account, so therefore it's still live and active. Can they burn it? I don't even know. It's kind of like just sat there as annoying numbers, but. In a nutshell, guys, some lessons to be learned. And I guess some people have recently asked for me to talk about cons of a project. Now, this isn't really like, not cons as in, this is a terrible project kind of thing. It's more like the downsides to things. But equally, it's kind of like a user error, or perhaps not necessarily an error, but this fact of learnings of things that you need to make sure you do or know about before you enter these kind of things, right? So when I joined Proton, I'll openly actually say this, to be fair, in my slight defense, there's no prompts to save private keys or indeed where to find them. Now that's my mistake for not maybe researching that a bit more, opening this essentially arguably a non-custodial wallet, right? So in the message that I got from their customer service was around the fact that you're seeing an image of your account because unfortunately without the private key, you won't be able to do anything with it. Proton Wallet is non-custodial, so users are responsible for their own private keys and are like a combination to a vault. So if extremely important, you back this up, wherever you can, blah, blah, blah. Private key is a string of 51 characters, You can access your wallet but can't do anything because your Apple copy is part of the app where you're restoring the backup from the old device, but it does not copy the private key, which is required to be done by the user. So basically, I'm stuck. Apologies for the inconvenience. You'll have to create a new wallet, and going forward, please remember to back up your private key. So to be honest, right, I got this is the thing about crypto and blockchain, right? It's very secure, and I think it's a beautiful thing, but there must be some other back-end things that I can do. So in a nutshell, when I started Proton Wallet way back, a few months back, maybe 6 months, they didn't have passphrases. I'm pretty sure they didn't. And even people in the comments below and people I've spoken to on Reddit and Discord and stuff, they were like, really? There's no passphrases in that. But apparently, and I've checked this, if you now go and log into as if you're a new user for XPR Proton, they will ask you to set up the passphrases. And if I had that back then, I would have definitely written that down like I have with everything else, and obviously in other couple of different places as well, in some safes and whatnot, that no one other than myself knows locations of them. And I would have been fine. But the private key is something, and for those that haven't done so yet and haven't switched phones or anything like that, please do go into the settings section of Proton, and you can find out there's a bit about there about getting your private key and set up yourself on the lifeboats, the new feature that they've added as well. It might be able to help you log in if you lost any details or anything. But it's a bit late for me, unfortunately, so I'm going to have to bite the bullet on that one, as it were, and sign up into a new account probably Proton XPR is still at a very, very good price, despite it being slightly higher than what I was buying it at back then. But we'll go into that in a second. I'm fortunate in that space. I'm trying to look at it positively, of learning, knowing what to do for this one. And like I said, any non-custodial wallets outside of exchanges, please do make sure you have got the private keys. And 9 times out of 10, I'm using my ledger anyway as well. And a lot of that is stored on there also. And the fact that most of the things that I stake with or use are on their native wallets with the ledger integration. I don't have that thing to do with Proton. Of course, non-custodial is their own thing. Maybe one day they'll integrate ledger, which would be awesome. But yeah, that's where I am with it, guys. I was going to show you I just don't want to look at my wallet anymore, but I was going to show you guys the screenshots, and I was like, I can't do this. So that's it. There's now a load of protons floating around in the proton sphere with nothing to do. The staking keeps going up and up, and I can't do anything about it because I haven't written the private key, and I didn't have phrases. And this actually came about, to be fair, because I was then installing the web authorization, right? And I'm assuming because I went to do that and then it kind of locked me out, that's why it's set there. I don't know if I didn't do that, whether I'd still have access or not, or be able to do stuff. But I thought I got away with it the other day. I went on staking and I was like, oh my God, I'm going back into staking. Maybe I can unstake these and move them to another wallet quickly before something happens. And it just wouldn't let me because the private key wasn't there. Absolute shambles. But guys, that's enough of my nonsense. But hopefully you guys will learn something out of that as well. If you're new to Proton or you're about to be, don't be put off by my situation. Use it as a positive learning curve. But that would be my downside to some of these kind of projects, is the lack of prompting, maybe. It is something that I should probably have sorted out myself. But I do think that equally exchanges and wallets do have a responsibility to really emphasize the prompting. But even in this customer support, they were saying because it's non-custodial, they don't need to prompt people. I'm like, well, actually, kind of like for your marketing and your branding and the emphasis of security and this, that, and the other, and user friendliness, you probably should. And there's a lot of people out there that probably just give up and throw the toys out of plan and go absolutely mental, and then start completely obliterating these projects online. Like, you see it all the time. You see people like, saying, oh, this is a scam coin, this, that, and the other, and they only do it because they've had a really bad experience with it at some point. There's no doubt in my mind that's most of the time that's what happens. But there we go, guys. That is most of that. But let's have a look at Proton LOAN as well. It's obviously a big factor of Proton coming forwards. So they've got this document available now, which is really cool. So I think it's in beta or beta stage, however you want to say it, at the moment. And they've got these very nice visuals already on here of how to access and this, that, and the other. So very much getting ready for this to open up, I believe, to the public. For those that don't know much about Proton, I'll probably do a video on this properly early next week for those that really want to get involved in the tokenomics of loan. Obviously, I think it was June or July or something, there was the staking ability of being able to obtain loan tokens. I can't remember. So I'm sure that will come into fruition soon as well. But it's essentially what's in the word, really, the loan aspect. So it's enabling people to essentially lend back their assets, almost kind of like liquidity pools, I guess, but in the sense that you're going to get rewarded, and then people can basically have that ability to loan, use it to pay for stuff like you would with car finance or this, that, and the other. But of course, with smart contracts, the ability to really track and trace and request payments, this, that, and the other, without intermediaries. So there's a lot less cost, and more emphasis on the user. And of course, hopefully, the idea is that more and more people use it, and use it in a positive way, that they'll have a good experience and use more of it. So I'm really interested to see how this works, with loads of information here, how to deposit and withdraw collateral, etc., how you repay things. So there's loads to go through in our video early next week about that, but it's really interesting. And I'm sure, I've said this many times, there are many wallets like Proton, with the exception of the problems that I've had, that will really compete, in my opinion, with banks out there. Now, obviously, there's you've still got further regulation to come in, and the emphasis of usability and whatnot. But I think in general, actually, you could look at it positively with my private key loss. Imagine if I lost my phone or something, and someone got access, and this, that, and the other. It's kind of a good mechanism, right? So I think there's a lot of aspects here that we're seeing with a lot of non-custodial wallets, and talk about Clever Wallet, for example, fantastic as well. You've got loads of like maybe security token ones like Credo and all of this lot coming out thick and fast now, with the ability to emphasize what banks do, but giving you more power and more better rates, more APYs, etc. Because you're losing out you're removing the intermediaries, you're removing the control mechanism that they've always had. So I think there's loads of really positive points on that. But yeah, really looking forward to that. There's an article back from April, but we'll go into this in a bit more detail because I've got my own take on this, rather than just reading you nonsense of articles. But guys, that is my lessons. That is what's coming up in next week's video for Proton. Before we wrap this video up, let's have a quick look at the chart. Do smash that like button and make sure you subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. And if you're not crazy already in love with our videos, do press that bell button and make sure that you get notified of all the awesome videos we have coming away in the near future. So Proton, guys, last few days, maybe a small intake. To be fair, I think we're overdue the uptake now already, because we've got loan coming soon, hopefully very soon. But it's kind of almost like imitating the area that we had back here in the 15th, 16th December. So we had a bit of a tail up across basically not even really a whole cent. I think we got to about, what was it, 1.9. It's pretty much 2 cents really, isn't it? But it's like, it's basically gone from around the region of 1.5 to 2 cents. So it's a healthy little run considering where XPR is price point and this, that, and the other. We're still a way off the previous all-time high, which is around, I believe, 11 cents. But in general, if you think about the progress of XPR, I mean, look at it back down here, 0.005. I was buying a load, I think just under 1 cent and just slightly over it. So actually, it's kind of crazy, really. I know it's kind of money that's gone now, but for me personally, I'm like, okay, maybe I'll just buy it again as if like it's starting from scratch. Like it's gone and given me an opportunity to come back in here, and I'll make sure I do it properly this time. But yeah, very much so taking a bit of an uptake here. I think that's probably with the release as well of the loan instructions, getting people prepared for when that launches officially. But yeah, they're not massive volumes coming, and I think XPR has obviously still got a lot of marketing to do, still a lot of awareness campaigns to do. The ambassadors are doing a great job across Twitter. It's for sure something that you can clearly see that they've got a good ambassadors program behind it, and that's what you need from the community drive. But equally, it needs to be backed up by the project, which I think Proton is doing quite a good job of. Very early days, but if you can look into the future, especially with the features that they're bringing out, I think the price point is going to reflect itself quite nicely as time goes by, for sure. So yeah, this is where we're testing around right now, and again, back to this point that we made in the previous video around October. So we've already now had this big price discovery mode, brought ourselves back down. Just to reiterate that price drop here, forgive me for my really clicky mouse, I've lost my other one, hopefully I'll find it. But 70%, guys. We always say like between 30 and 70% on the correction. 30% is usually a short-term move, but 70% is usually something you see once you've had a big bull run move, and then you have the correctional period. So very much bang on that. And what's really exciting to see is we're now hitting this point back here, which, like I said, from these points onwards down here at 0.009, let's call that 1 cent basically. It's been price discovery, not good enough for us to maintain, brought it back down to the what I would call the real value of XPR in its current state, in its current life cycle position, and this, that, and the other. I'm not saying it's a terrible token just because it's 1 cent. You've got to bear in mind where it is. But yeah, it's flowing around these previous resistance and support levels. So we come down, we've tested once here successfully. We've now brought it down once, twice. We've had the third time. Hopefully that's enough. I mean, usually it takes 4 or 5 attempts for that. So right now, critically, in my opinion, we're very much looking to try and stabilize just above this 1.5 cents. So as of recording, sat there comfortably at 1.6, nearly 1.7 cents. And if we can maintain that and not drop down too much, I do anticipate us to maybe correct and check those 1.5, 1.4 marks again anyway over these coming weeks. But I think that's going to give us great momentum and foundation for us to drive forwards more. We'll probably see again some resistance at 1.8, and do imagine to expect some resistance definitely at the 2 and just above the 2 cents. But we're going to cover that maybe more in the near future when we get nearer to it, because it's kind of pointless just guessing right now. We need to actively work upon the moves that we can see in front of us right now and the test data that we have here. But we could at least, for sure, add in a couple of areas of interest for me personally. If I'm buying right now, let's say 1.5, I don't tend to sell off because there's not really much moves. I'm really accumulating, or was accumulating XPR for all the staking and everything. So I think anything, in my opinion, under 5 cents for XPR is fantastic, especially for the long run, as well as the upcoming bull run that we may be having in the next few months as well. But let's keep an eye on that. But that's, like I said, I do expect it to probably drop back down a bit to retest and then jump up again. I'm just going to put a quick move for retracement level here on a shorter term, just so I can double check something. Yeah, so as you can see, I mean, this is not entirely fully accurate, but like I said, we're going to see some resistance around this sort of 1.7, 1.8 mark. So right now, I don't think I'm confident enough to say that we've kind of hit a marker where we're going to support up here and then take it up. I do think we need to get some more volume in, and we might get that today. The day's not over, but we do need to really try and keep to where we kind of are right now at this 1.7 mark. If we can do that, then I think we can bobble over that and test these higher regions of 1.8 and 2. We have to see how that plays out. A couple of other indicators here to just point out. That's why I said we probably might come down to touch down again, because we've already had this small move up here in terms of like not necessarily over purchasing, but the good volumes coming in. The RSI was obviously low, very good low points around these regions mid-December at around 33. We're now tracking around 44. So again, from my perspective, okay, like obviously I could have maybe done it a few days ago, but I'm not going to be mad buying it at these kind of RSI points on the short term. But we've also got really good markers here on the 28-day and the 90-day. 90 days very much in the middle. They've got to be a bit cautious of that, but on the 28-day, I'm really happy right now for me to probably go and buy a load of XPR tonight or tomorrow, reducing the risk of it coming down massively further, but with a good more opportunity of it coming up. And then this is a good gauge for me as well to buy now and see what it's like in 2 weeks' time if I do want to do a short-term trade, or at least check the 28-day. So if the bull run does appear in the next few months, we can at least have good opportunities here to mention the big moves that we have. I would love to see a repeat of what we had earlier in the year, where I was buying originally, I think June, July and August time, this big tail up. This is what we love to try and anticipate. We're getting like a middle movement here, kind of in between these kind of volumes that we're kicking in. So really good last couple of weeks. It doesn't look like a massive amount has happened in XPR on the chart, but it actually has. When you look at it in finer detail, and that kind of concludes this mark of maybe ending the bull run. The switch over as well confirmed with the MACD on here on the 16th of December as well. So we've got a bit of narrowing here. That's where I'm saying we probably bounce around a bit, get that support and push it up. That's where I think we are with XPR. I don't anticipate a big correction again, unless some nonsense happens with Bitcoin or whatever. But that's where we are with XPR, guys. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. We'll wrap that up there, and we'll cover the loan aspect of XPR early next week for those that are interested. But until then, guys, thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next video. Take care, boys, and also Happy New Year. Bye-bye.